Hello, and welcome to the Modern Day Intuitive Podcast. I am Sarah Noble, a certified shamanic energy medicine practitioner, somatic embodiment coach, Akashic record reader, spiritual mentor, and teacher of energy management and meditation. This podcast is born from my passion to help you reconnect with your heart and intuition. In each episode, you'll hear me channel guided spiritual information for a guest around a specific question or decision in their life. Afterwards, I break down the call so you can better understand how to connect with your own intuitive gifts, your spirit guides, and soul family. I will also give you practical exercises and tools that you can use to deepen your understanding of how to use this in your day-to-day life. Now, without further ado, let's get on to our caller. Welcome to the show today. Thanks for being here. Today, our caller Bree wants to know what direction to take regarding her work. She feels she's worked really hard to get where she is and is looking for guidance on how to move forward. This question takes us on a beautiful journey and discusses the following topics. That we all have a guiding light that lives inside our heart, and this is the anchor point of our intuition. Our heart is the beacon that brings us home to ourselves. We talk about how it can be challenging to tell the difference between our thoughts and our intuition, and how important it is that we realize we are unique individuals that are here for a special purpose, and that by embracing who we are, we can connect to our intuition. We also look at how we can tell when our soul is calling us to pursue our passion and purpose, and that by having fun and being creative, we can open up the channel to our intuitive wisdom. Thank you for being here for my call with Bree. Hi, Bree. Welcome to the podcast. What's your question today?
Hi, Sarah. So my question is, what do I need to know about my work? I feel like I've worked really hard and that I'm working hard, and I need guidance to know how to move forward.
So the first thing you're showing me is it's like a beacon that's being sent out. There's a tower and it has a light at the top, and it's sending out a beacon. And what it is, it's the beacon of your heart, sending out this beautiful green light, and it's calling you home to your heart is what it's asking of you. And I'm sensing that you've been pulled in directions, and there's a lot of mind energy happening where you're contemplating a lot and you're like, should I do this? Should I do this? Oh, wait, maybe this, and you're back and forward. It's important to remember, right, that we've been taught that the mind figures out things for us. Yet that's not really true. Our heart is really what knows the direction we're supposed to take. And the mind is more to just help make it happen once our heart lets us know where it wants to go. Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
What is it that you are going backward and forward about?
Well, I think your description of what you said about like this or that, and like, I mean, that it's a little more like that versus back and forth. And yet there is a little bit of back and forth with, having just earned my life coach certification. I'm feeling a little bit like pulled by that. And yet there's part of me that's not feeling it. Not so much the coaching part, but just like the coaching business part. And I'm getting confused about how I am to do like work from the heart and be able to be paid for it with it feeling good and not like I'm out there to prove myself or something, because it's not really what I want to be about. I don't want to be about sales, and I don't want to be about having to prove myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And as you're saying that, you're showing me this image of a tambourine. It's and the words are coming like that, playing to your own rhythm. Feels to me like there's a combination of things happening whereby you're pulling your skills that you've learned, yet there's this other sort of more solid piece that I'm sensing you're wanting, where there's a little less uncertainty, a little less possibility for volatility. Feels like you operate really well in a more sort of stable and you're showing me like a corral whereby there's like it's not fencing you in, but what it's doing is it's giving you direction. It's allowing you to have a boundary that makes you feel safe, and then in that space you flourish. And so there's these two, they're coming out sort of on two sides, and there's this part of you that is wanting the boundaries and the structure so that you can thrive and you can in that space beat your own drum, play this tambourine and create this rhythm of your life that feels very in alignment with who you are.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense in the sense that, like, what's coming to me around that is the job that I have is in a highly structured environment. It's at the university, but I've struggled with that too. So maybe that's the back and forth piece is like, I've been looking to like leave the job, but yet it's serving a purpose. It's currently part time, but I guess I've been imagining like transitioning from that into something else, that like leaving that so I can do something else more fully. But the financial piece isn't like figured out around that. I guess the playing to your own rhythm piece.
Well, let me ask you, I'm curious. You're coming here with your question of what should my work look like, right? What direction are you going? What is your ideal of what that looks like?
Um, I think that it's not clear to me right now. I mean, I have moments where it seems clear, but what's coming to me is being a writer. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that.
Being a writer. Nice.
Mhm.
Let's ask that question from the viewpoint of how do you want to feel in this
Mhm.
ideal job?
Well, I want to feel like I'm offering something, that I'm in service, that it is from my heart and unconditional. So I think that that may be the piece that's hard in terms of the money, is like if I'm marketing and marketing and that kind of stuff, then it's like, well, then there's like sort of a conditional relationship is what it feels like. Cause it's like, okay, I'm doing this for you and you're going to do this for me. And it's not that money has to be that way, because I know it's an energy exchange too. I think that's why writing, well, one, writing is a strength that I have, and I love it. And I feel like it's part of my work in the world, but it also is like I create, and then I have a collaboration with somebody who can help get it published. Right. So that's different than trying to market myself. And if anything, that then, the publisher gets to do all that stuff and I don't have to do it. So I just really want to like offer something that will be of service to others and then be able to interact with people. Like I do want to have discussions with people and exchanges of the heart, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And as you're talking, you're showing me putting on a new pair of glasses, is the way that you're showing it to me, that show you a different version of reality.
Mhm.
And this idea that you have what you want, you can somewhat see it in more sort of abstract way. Yet it's getting inadvertently intermingled with this belief that in order to have that, you have to market yourself. And
Yeah, I think so.
okay.
Mhm.
Is there a way for you to separate those and look at those differently and believe that spirit can bring you experiences and bring you things that are in alignment with this writing, with this exchange of heart space and ideas with people without you having to market yourself? Like, can you
Um,
believe that?
I do, but I think I'm not like fully trusting of it. I feel like I'm getting that message externally, even, like there's not one way to do it and that kind of thing. So I think I'm three-quarters of the way there. I guess I would say.
What if you could create a space inside yourself that allowed you to create and write from the place of you're just doing it for fun because it lights you up, because it's where you want to move to in life without it having to be about the money right now? Is that a possibility?
Yes, it is a possibility. And it kind of fits with like this theme of fun that's sort of come up, that's important for me to cultivate. So it fits that message that I've been getting, and that fits for, doing it in a sort of reflective, contemplative, and unconditional space, if that makes sense.
Without the pressure, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And one of the things that I struggle with is external validation. I like needing it and wanting it. I mean, who doesn't, right? But I happen to be someone who like seeks it. And I've been working on trying not to seek it quite so much because it doesn't always serve me. It turns into like people pleasing, or, me doing things that aren't necessarily grounded in what may be best for me. And so I feel like it speaks to that too. That's what we're discussing, because it kind of feels like if you really are, for example, to play to your own rhythm, then it's going to look different. It's going to look different than me seeking external validation, which is, I feel like, what in some ways what marketing is about. Not always. I definitely don't like think marketing is bad necessarily. It's just, it doesn't feel like the right place for my energy to go right now.
As you're talking, you're showing me your third chakra. And when you were first talking, there was this really beautiful light that was radiating out of your third chakra, like the sun. And our third chakra is that space of our way of being in the world, our will of what we want, and how like our get up and go, and how we go and follow our dreams. It's that power place that allows us to do that. And so there is this part of you that is ready for that, and was showing me this excitement around being able to do that. And then when you started talking again about the marketing, it closes it down. Like the word is vulnerability that I'm getting. That putting yourself out there, that validation, the external validation that comes with, oh, I just put myself out there. I hope people like me. And and so, before the call we were talking, you had mentioned about where to put your energy, and it feels like that's coming forward a little bit right now. And you mentioned fun and creativity, and we've talked about writing and having connections that are more heartfelt. And you're showing me that that is really nourishing for you. And what I've found is the more that we do what lights us up, the more that brings us fun and laughter and allows us to be creative, Spirit takes care of the rest for us, because we're showing up for this calling that we have inside us. And when we answer our calling, Spirit always answers back with
Mm-hmm.
what we need. And so rather than making it about, oh, I've got to do this stuff so then I can market myself, and I don't really want to do that. Maybe I'll just stay with this. It's like the invitation is, why not just create for the sake of creating? For the fact that when you wake up in the morning, you're excited to sit in front of your computer and type. And when you go to bed at night, you feel like so full of just, I feel this like really yummy, satisfying energy, because you created something beautiful, and you didn't create it with a purpose other than it's your heart spilling out into the world what needs to be heard by
Mm-hmm.
somebody somewhere at some point in time. And if you can allow that to be your guiding light, like they're bringing me back to the beacon of your heart, right? Where we started. If you can let that be your guiding light and beacon that brings you home to yourself, the rest of the answers are going to come clear.
Mm.
How does that feel?
It makes sense, and it feels right. And I think that there's some work to do around it in terms of trusting it. We were talking about trust earlier, but there's a lot that makes sense about it for sure.
Yeah. Do you feel like that answers your question, or do you have anything else for clarity?
I feel like that answers my question. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's some interesting, like the tambourine was surprising to me, but I like it a lot. I think it's really a cool instrument.
Yeah.
um, it's kind of like an interesting. It feels like it's like simple but complicated at the same time. Like there's something, or not complicated but complex. I guess there's a difference there. But
Mm.
anyway, so there's some really fun aspects to that, and it just it does speak to, I think, a knowing that I have. So yeah, I feel really good about it. Mhm.
Yeah, we're a lot more intuitive than we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah, that mind piece though, the heart versus the mind, so to speak, like that, there's so much truth to that, like leading with the mind versus the heart. And so that also is just right on.
Well, I'm excited to see what you write about and what you start bringing and creating from this place.
Me too. I'm on a journey. I feel like I've started it and now I think I have some more clarity about like what 2021 is about for me.
Beautiful.
So that's great. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Does this feel like an okay place to land?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I want to say a big thank you to Bree for being here with us today. Thank you for such a wonderful call. And wanting to talk about that beautiful beacon that Bree showed us when we first started, this guiding light that lives inside her heart, and talk about how we all have this guiding light. This is our intuition. It's our heart. It's the anchor point of our intuition. It's where the answers lie. And we all have this. Bree is very intuitive. There were a number of times throughout the call when she mentioned the message I have been getting, or I've been getting a message externally. And it was very evident that she was connected to her intuition, yet having trouble believing it, connecting with it, and fully trusting it. And this is what happens with a lot of us because we were not taught to believe in that voice that lives inside us. We weren't shown how to have a connection with this deep internal wisdom. And so we are looking outside ourselves for validation and thinking that the answers are out there. But as Bree showed us, this beacon brings us home. It's the light that guides us to ourself and to our intuition. What was happening for Bree is that she was getting caught in her mind and questioning the guidance that she was being shown inside herself, which is very, very common. I struggle with it too. It's part of being human is our mind is such a big part of who we are, and we haven't been given the tools in order to differentiate between the two. And so we get stuck in this in between of not knowing which one to believe. Another theme that came through for Bree was this importance of being her own individual. This beautiful tambourine and playing to the rhythm of her own life and what's important for her and what matters to her. Not about what other people may think or how she's perceived. She is struggling with the marketing aspect of her business. She has this beautiful gift that she wants to share with the world, and yet she's caught in this place of not knowing how to put this out into the world without getting caught in this place of looking for external validation and making herself vulnerable. This is something we all struggle with. Our society has stereotyped how we should show up and what's okay and what's not okay. And in this, we get lost. We forget that we're a unique individual soul here on a journey. There's nobody else in the whole world like you. You are a unique individual that is here with your own set of skills, your own magic that you came here to create. Nobody can do what you do. It is so important that you connect in with what it is that is your wonderful, uniquely you talent that you brought here to share with the world and give it to the world. It's what you came here to do. It's your life's purpose. The more you try to be like somebody else, the more you are cut off from your intuition. As I was talking to Bree, I could hear her soul calling out to her, asking her to step into this gift of writing, this gift of giving something to the world through her words that only she can give to the world. And yet she is in that place of not being able to believe in herself and believe in her worth around what she has to say. And so I love that she resonated so much with the tambourine and recognized that her unique individual self is important and has a lot to say. The things that she was saying that clued me into this were that she wanted her work to be of service. She wanted it to come from her heart. She wanted to feel connected when she was doing it. And those are all sure signs that that is your soul speaking to you. That is that deep desire inside you that is bringing forward your passion, that is bringing forward what you are here to create, that only you can create. And I so encourage you to follow that passion. This calling of her soul led into this theme of having fun and creating in life. We take things so seriously. We look at our responsibilities and all the things that we have to do, and we forget this huge element of our life called fun. That is where the magic really lives. This is the place that we can create from. This is the place that we can bring new ideas into the world and grow our lives in ways that we can't even imagine are possible. When we can create from this space of creating because it lights us up and it's what's in our heart, no matter what that creation looks like, whether it's creating a new recipe for dinner, whether it's learning to play a new instrument, or birthing a new business idea into the world, no matter what it is that we are creating, if we create from the sheer joy of lighting ourselves up and what our heart is calling us to do, that is where we can truly step into our intuition and let it guide our life. So my encouragement to you this week to connect with your intuition is to get out there and create something. Put your hands in the dirt, pick up a paintbrush, write something that is inside you waiting to come out, make up a dance routine with your kids, pick up your knitting needles. Whatever that looks like to you, go ahead and create. And listen to what your intuition is telling you. In closing, I just want to say thank you again to Bree for being here with us and for your vulnerability and sharing with us. I'm sure you've heard me say before, one of the ways that I have more deeply connected with my intuition is through meditation. And so I have created some meditations to help you on your journey. You can find them on the Insight Timer app. And if you don't have the app, I am putting together a podcast called Nourish My Soul where you can find them all there. And if you are interested in knowing more about opening and closing a reading, check the show notes for a link to a video where I give you tips on how I open and close my readings. Thank you again for being here and for your desire to connect more deeply with your intuition. Thanks so much for tuning in today and making your personal and spiritual growth a priority in your life. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd love if you could please leave a 5-star review, as it helps the show to grow and assists me on my mission of having intuition be a part of everybody's life. For more information on reconnecting with your heart and intuition, head on over to my website, www.themoderndayintuitive.com, where you can listen to free meditations, sign up to be a guest on the podcast, learn how you can work with me in person, find links to my social media platforms, and much more. And a big thank you from my heart to yours for making the planet a better place by having the courage to look inward to develop your intuition.